Hey, this is RJ May, and you're watching Mr. Mario 2011.
Hey, so what is going on, everyone? It is me, Mr. Mario, and today I felt like sharing this random story, and it's not mine, actually. It is a friend's story, and I was kind of there to witness it, I guess. It takes place in, I guess, two places, because it was over here, and it was me talking to my friend who's in New York. But this is the story of him getting one of his games stolen before he even bought the thing. And you all may be asking, how does that happen? Well, you know, I never got a clear-cut answer on that, and I don't think he did either. In the end, it all worked out, and I gave you all a little bit of a spoiler right there, but it's the journey to it that is what you came here for. So thank you very much if you came here. So, you know, sit back, relax, and enjoy this story. So I'm going to go back to 2009, okay? So this was, what, 7 years ago now at this point? Man, time really flies. So this was 7 years ago, and this was specifically the weekend Gears of War 2 came out. Gears of War 2 came out on a Friday, and that was a fantastic weekend, mainly because I got a bunch of my work done, you know, that I had to do for school and all that. I was 15 at the time, so I got, you know, all my homework done and everything. Gears of War 2 was coming out on a Friday. This guy, you know, he was one of my really good friends. He was going to be getting it, so we were going to play it together. Another one of my friends decided last minute he was going to get it as well, too, so we were going to be playing it together as well. We had seen a lot of Gears of War 2 stuff up until then. We saw there was going to be 4-player co-op. I think it was 4-player. No, Gears of War 2 is still 2-player. Yeah, no, it was 2-player. Okay, 4-player was in Gears of War 3. Anyways, what ended up happening was, you know, we were still excited about the game, you know, regardless of whatever it was. We were still really, really pumped for it. I had mine pre-ordered as well, too, so I remember I was really excited because I got home after school, and then I remember my dad had to take me to like a physical therapy thing because at the time my leg was actually broken. So only bone I ever broke, and it was a fracture. Technically not a break, but still a break, you know, whatever. So I went to physical therapy after that. Once I was done, I got picked up. He took me over to GameStop. I went in. This is actually really awesome. I'm sure anybody who's under 17 or 18 loves this feeling, but I went in there. I picked up the game. I didn't get ID'd. It was a fantastic feeling. And I remember I brought the game home, and I called up one of my friends, you know, this friend in particular who lived in New York, and we're going to call him Jack. So I said, Jack, I got Gears of War 2. And he's like, I got Gears of War 2 as well, and I don't have the discs in it. So you all might be wondering what ended up happening. Well, we still don't know exactly what happened, but see, this is what happened, okay? Now, Jack didn't like to do things the easy way. Here's the thing. He had a GameStop. Apparently, I learned a bunch of this from his friend who would scold him for things like this. But he had a GameStop that was near him, right? He didn't go to that one. No, he was too good for that one. He had to hop on the train and go to a GameStop that was like 30 minutes to an hour away from him. So that meant every time he wanted to go to GameStop from home, including going there and coming back, it took him 1 to 2 hours to go to this GameStop. None of us knew why he liked to go over there. He just went over there. His friend had the game early because his friend used to drive over to this place that was like an hour away from him, and they sold games. It was, I mean, flat out illegal what they were doing, but they were selling games like a week and a half, 2 weeks in advance, you know, so they could get some extra money right there. But he had the game before any of us. So what ended up happening was my friend tells me that, I'm just like, what the hell happened? And he said, I don't know. I got off school, I took the subway, and in case anyone's wondering, if you're not familiar with New York, not that many people drive. Yes, there's a lot of cars, but most people I know who live in New York do not want to drive in New York. So this included my friend as well, too. At the time, he was just taking, you know, public transportation and all that. But anyways, what happened was he said he got off school, he went on either the train or the subway. I think it was a subway. He takes it, he goes over to GameStop, picks up the game, comes back home, opens it up, and he got the special edition as well too, which I remember was $70. I got this, and it came with a bonus disc, and it came in all new artwork, and I think it had like an extra art book with it, and it had a Steel Series case and extra DLC as well too. You got like the Golden Lancer and some other stuff. So, you know, really awesome addition for the $10 extra that you paid for it. That's why I got it. So what happens is he gets it, he opens it, and everything is there except the discs. He didn't have the game itself, and he didn't have the limited edition disc. So he was kind of shit out of luck at that point. Well, what ended up happening was I popped the game in my system as I'm talking to him, and I'm freaking out because, you know, I played the first Gears of War a bunch. I had pretty much all the storyline achievements for it, so all that progress transferred over, and then I got the DLC, so there were things just popping up, and then I started playing the game, and the game just looked and sounded so good, and man, he was jealous, and I was making him jealous, not gonna lie, I was. But man, like, that was an exciting feeling, but I remember he was just on the other side of the line. He's like, why me? Why me? Why is it that out of everyone in the world, I'm the one person? I paid for this game in full. I got it the day it came out, and I'm the one person in the world. Why? Why? I don't have the game. I bought the game and I don't have it. What happened? So then this is what ended up happening, okay? The reason why I wanted to tell this story is because the work up to it, this is what I think of when I think of like Bad Luck Brian of video games, okay? So that same day, he said, you know what? I'm going to go to GameStop. And I probably should have told him, you should call them, but he went there anyways. So he goes back and he gets on the subway, he goes over to this GameStop, he shows them, and they're just like, there's nothing we can do for you. So I think he even got the manager, and the manager's just like, dude, there's nothing we can do for you. We're sorry. Since you went home already, there's no way we can prove that you don't have the discs. So you have to contact Microsoft for this. You have the game, you have the receipt, just contact them about it. So he was pissed, okay, because he had not been to GameStop one time, but he had been there 2 times today, wasting his time, and at the same time, he wasted his money on a game that he does not have. And then when he was coming back home, guess what happened? He ended up getting a ticket from an officer in the subway for using his school pass to go, after school hours and everything. Now, for anybody that doesn't know this, this was actually explained to me by him and his friend. Essentially, a lot of people, because as I said, public transportation is very common in New York. A lot of students, he was like 17, I want to say at the time, so he was still in high school, but a lot of students take public transportation. And from what I know, a lot of these places actually provide you with a card so that you don't have to, if you're going to school or from school, you don't have to pay for the subway every single time or a bus every single time. You just swipe that card. The thing is, though, you're only supposed to use it between a certain time and a certain time. So, like, for example, I think if school starts at like 8 a.m., let's say, you're only allowed to use it from like 7 a.m. to, let's say, school gets out at 3, so you can only use it from like 7 to 4. That's it. And this officer, out of everyone, he decided to ID my friend and check his ticket and found out he was using a school student ticket after hours and gave him a ticket. So on top of this, my friend had wasted his day going to GameStop twice, spending money on Gears of War 2, the limited edition, mind you. He didn't get the disc for it. There was nothing that he could do about it because GameStop wouldn't reimburse him in any way. And then, even though this was his own fault, he got ticketed. And it was funny because then he was complaining about it, and I even told him, like, dude, that's your fault right there. And I was telling him, and he was just like, Danny, what the hell? Are you taking my side or the officer's side? And I'm like, whoa, dude, I'm on your side completely, but I mean, you fucked up right there. I'll be honest. Like, you knew what you were doing with that ticket, and honestly, if I was in his position, I probably would have done the same thing, so I'm not even going to blame him completely. But point being is, he was getting mad because he broke the rules and he got caught for it. So what ended up happening after that was he had to end up calling up Microsoft, and he called Microsoft and they didn't know what to do. So they routed him to another place, and eventually they said, okay, you know what? Send us your address info, send us your billing info. What we're going to do is we also need your receipts as well too. Or no, the first time they put down his information. Then he had to call them back in like a week or something. They said, hey, we need your receipt. We need proof of purchase. So he gave them the receipt. And then it was like a week or two later, as he was keeping me updated the entire time, he ended up calling them up because they were supposed to give him some information. And they said, hey, you're supposed to send us the discs. And he just flipped out on the person. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm saying it in a nice form, but he was just like, man, what are you talking about? How the hell am I supposed to give you discs that I'm trying to get for a game that I don't have the discs to originally? That is the whole point of this phone call. That is why I'm not playing Gears of War 2 right now, because I got the game with no discs, and it's someone's fault, and I'm suffering for it right now. And then this person, like, on the line, I wasn't there for the call. I had heard about it, through him, but they freaked out, and they routed him to someone else, and then they got it back on track, and they said, okay, we understand. We have the receipts. We know that you've purchased the game, that you do not have the discs. We are going to be sending you the game here soon. And even at one point, I remember he was just like, Danny, do you think I should just spend $60 and get Gears of War 2 again? Or should I wait for Microsoft? Because some people might be saying, oh, well, he was lying. No, he wasn't. This dude, it was funny because this guy, for the longest time, he only played Halo and Call of Duty. That's it. That's all he was playing. And I put him on to Gears of War, actually. I convinced him to buy the game. Then when he bought the game, I was the one who was co-oping it with him, one of the people who was co-oping it with him. And then after that, he fell in love with the series. Like, he just went balls deep with the series. He just loved it after I introduced it to him. And there were even some other games like Oblivion and Skyrim. He was just turning his nose up at them. He's like, no, I hate those games, not playing them. Then, you know what? After me and some other people told him about them, like a year or two later, all of a sudden he's like, oh man, I love Skyrim. That was the only thing he was playing for like the longest time. So he was one of those people as well too. So it was just funny because, you know, he has more of a love for Gears of War than I do, and he's the one who's doing all the suffering for it while I'm enjoying it. Because, see, once it got to the point where he finally had the game, it was like a month and a half, 2 months later, I had moved on to other games, man. I wasn't a big multiplayer fan, so I've never really been a big multiplayer person, but I played the hell out of Horde. I love the campaign on there, but, you know, I was playing other games. I like single-player games. But what ended up happening at the end was he did end up receiving the discs from Microsoft. He got them like a month and a half, 2 months later, and some people still might be thinking he was lying. First off, no, he was such a big fan. I went through that whole big fan thing because he was such a big fan. Listen, he deprived himself of Gears of War for nearly 2 months. All right, he had the game on release, but he didn't have the discs for it. He had to suffer through that. No, my friend would not have done that. And second, some people might be thinking, oh, he played on a side account or whatever like that. No, because he was also an achievement whore and he cared about his ranks. He wasn't going to be doing that for this game. So he finally got Gears of War 2 like a month and a half, 2 months later, and it came with a nice little bonus. He actually ended up getting extra DLC codes for it too, because apparently Microsoft sent him both the discs, and then they sent him the regular edition and the limited edition DLC as well. So the first map pack, like the, I think it was like the Remembrance map pack or something like that, where it's like 4 of the original maps from the original games, he got that. That was before you could purchase it, so that was like, I think it was only $5, but this was like months before you could even buy that map pack on the marketplace. And then he got the limited edition code as well too, I believe. So then he got, you know, more DLC on top of that he was able to, you know, turn around, flip, sell, whatever it was. So yeah, that was his unfortunate story that turned into a pretty funny story here. But that is how he got that stolen. Before he even bought the game, he had the game stolen from him. Let me know if anything like this has happened to you all, because, man, that is just, and some people might be saying you got to look at the packaging or anything like that. No, man, he bought this game. First date came out, brand new, from GameStop, with the seals and everything on it. I told my mom about this, you know, after it happened, and she was thinking one realistic thing could have been somebody at the factory, at the pressing plant, could just swipe the discs before it got sealed up. I mean, that's a pretty logical explanation for that. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you all for watching, everyone.